Pop's old boats.
Tonight, clear. Lows around 30. Northwest winds around 5 miles an hour. Saturday, sunny. Highs around 50. North winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Saturday night, mostly clear. Lows in the upper 20s.
Today on Pop's Old Boats, we're going to combine two 6-volt batteries, negative to positive, to make a 12-volt output. We're also going to mount a small solar panel to keep these batteries trickle charged. This will also be on a controller so that it does not go over 14 volts. Now, they've had a wiring system in this boat before, but if you'll notice, this is just jumper cables, and they're kind of corroded to the point where they're no good anymore. So, this one has a red line on it. So I know I can cut it and keep up with my positive. Make these the same length. And we'll put a terminal on the end of these, screw them down to the battery for a good solid connection. Now I'm looking in here, there's a blade on this cutter, and it's set too deep, so what I need to do, bring it down so that it just misses the cable. I don't want to cut the wire itself, I just want to cut the insulation. So I give it a half turn each time. And then we want to figure out how deep this is going to go in so that we skin it to where it's inside the terminal. We don't want any exposed copper out here, even though I'm going to shrink wrap them to keep any excess moisture, corrosion, and air out. So I see that I'm going to be right here, so I'm going to set me a line with my old tough fingernail. Let's get these off. They're worthless right now. I may not be deep enough. I think I went the wrong way. I'm allergic to dirty cables. Did I go down or up? I think I went down instead of up. I did, I went down. So it didn't cut deep enough, so what do? I take some more of the cutaway. That's too deep. That should get it. Should have pulled straight instead of crooked, but it'll be okay. Still trying to figure out a way to make this darn thing function better. Because you're trying to hold a cable, you're trying to hold this. This takes two hands. I've got to figure out a way to make that third hand, don't I? I'm looking at this thing thinking, you know, that's a dangerous thing when I start thinking. Oh yeah. Whoa. Hold on, Jim Bob Walton. So let's not put a black one on there. We went to the expense of getting the red ones, blue ones and yellow ones. I think this one's going to wind up being a blue. Can't remember. Nope, it's going to be the bigger yellow. I hope the yellow fits it. Barely. Let's just hope it works. And I'm looking for this piece here, the two dies. I'm looking for a complete connection. And then I know I can't go any further. And I don't think it's going to go any further. Okay. That's tight. That's on there now. It's not going to come off. And I'm going to keep going around this and smashing all the debris into itself. Make it tighter and tighter. This is my quick disconnect. This will go to the solar panel charge controller. And what I'll be doing is running another lead from here on over to the solar panel, and then I'll have this quick disconnect so that I can disconnect the charge controller if I need to for any reason. Now, you need to always have your batteries connected to the charge controller before you connect the solar panel to the charge controller, or it can overload the controller and short things out, or even damage photovoltaic cell. And the way that I've connected these, I've put the copper leads in, I've put the wing nuts on, and I give it a good snug with the pair of pliers, because you want to make sure you have a very good connection on all of these terminals, because when you don't have a good connection, you wind up with a lot of corrosion. Now I will come back tomorrow and I will put a liberal amount of grease on top of these. I will put electric grease on those, and that'll help lock the air out a little bit. And I'll do that about every 2 months. I'll come back and just check them, rub a little grease on the lead and the exposed metal connections there. And what that does is it slows down your corrosion. Now the first thing I'm going to do is get the controller connected to the batteries, and then we'll place the solar panel and get it plugged up to check everything out, and we'll start getting a little trickle charge on this afternoon before the sun goes down. Okay, so I have tinned the wires and plugged them in to the controller. Made a mess here. Okay, so the controller, sunset, this is putting out 23.8 volts right now off of this little panel. This is supposed to be a 12 volt panel, but as you can see, it's putting out 24.1 volts right now. So we've got our two batteries wired up as 12 volts. So we'll have to use this controller so that we don't overcharge it. The battery itself, if you'll notice, the two 6-volt batteries, they're sitting at 16 volts right now. So they're slightly overcharged. So they're holding a good charge. They've been on the big panel in the back lawn on the test station for a while. And this is all so that I can get it set up to do this very thing that I'm doing now. I want to be able to have a tiny solar boat. Now with these two banks, I don't know what my watt hours are. We'll have to actually figure all that out. Let's see, get a connection. Come on, touch the wire to the metal. There we go. 16.4 volts. So I'm going to rewire the boat. I'm going to put, well, I'm not actually going to rewire it. I'm going to redo the lighting on the boat, and I'm going to hook it up so that we have LED lights. Let's see if I can find everything. I've made kind of a mess here in my rapid hurry to do everything. So we have our negative and our positive that go to the battery. If I can quit knocking everything around. I'm trying to do this in a rush, and it's just making it go slower, isn't it? Just slow down. All right, we're going to undo the negative lead and the positive lead. And what we're doing is we're opening up this screw hole inside. Then I'm going to place my tinned. I'll put the solder on it so that the wire won't expand. It's a little too big, so I'm going to nip some off. I'm going to nip it over here overboard so it's not in. Now this is silver solder. I didn't use any lead in any of this solder. And what I did is, I like to do this every time I do these. put flux on the copper, and then I heat it up and soak in some solder so that your ends do not fray. So you've got a nice sturdy plug-in so that you've got a good connection. And I don't like to have any copper out the bottom here. I like it to be completely up in it, because if you'll notice, there's about, I don't know, a heavy 1/8, maybe 3/16 of an inch that go up in there. So I've got insulation up inside there. Get out of my way. Then we tighten down on the lug, and it'll pull the vise that comes up from the bottom and squeeze it, and then you've got a nice sturdy connection. And like I said, always connect the batteries first and then connect your photovoltaic panel. And the reason, oh man, I stuck it through the middle. I got to undo that and redo it. Stuck it through the middle of the darn other wire. That would put it in a bind and have it pulling on itself. Now I'm trying to think of where I want to mount this and what I want to do. This is just temporary, just to get us going so we can test everything today. Now this meter says there's 11.9 volts in that battery. Okay, now we can plug up our photovoltaic panel safely. I keep hearing those leaves in this darn thing. Leaves are falling everywhere this year. I keep hearing that. Sounds like electricity. Okay, now let's check everything. Okay, there we go, the battery. Says there's 13.9 going into it. That must be my upper limit. See what we can set it to. Watch me do everything wrong on it. Okay, there we go. Now it's flashing. You held this till it flashes. And I didn't do it fast enough. Okay, let's see. Let's go up. We got to set our limits. I want it to be around 13.9 so that it won't overheat the batteries. There we go. Let's see what we can go to. 14. Let's bring it back down to 14.3 just to be on the safe side. Darn mosquitoes out in January. What is this? 14.3. Thought it said hold it for 3 seconds. It did. 3 seconds. I was counting fast. So the USB port will give me 12 volts out, or I can hook anything 12 volt into this over here. I'm not going to, because what I'm doing is I'm feeding straight off my battery bank, and that'll run everything in the boat. Okay, it looks like we've dropped down to 11.9 coming in from the solar panel as the sun continues to go down. Let's give it a quick test and see if I'm right or wrong on that. Which, if that's the case, it's no longer charging. Or, well, the batteries are over, so it's no longer charging either. I probably need to put something on here. Turn it on helps, Pops. Let me get out of my way there. So this is saying that I'm only getting 10.8 from the solar panel. Let's bring it closer to the sun here. Tilt it toward the setting sun. I mean, it is down. It's barely over the horizon over there through the trees. And we're getting 12.3 out of this little solar panel. This thing is pretty good. I picked this up at a parts store. I believe I got that at O'Reilly's. Not sponsored by O'Reilly's, but I do like them. And I'll show you what I have for sunlight. Nope, it's not a Bow and Brandy sunset, but it is a sunset. Thanks for viewing. Like, subscribe, and follow. Leave me a comment. We're going solar, we're going electric. Now you'll notice that we've got 3 wires connected and 3 wires connected. This wire is connected to the little Minn Kota long shaft. Moves there. Let's stick our fingers in it. That would make a great video. I wasn't trying to blow the sawdust off the mower where I was cutting wood, but running 2 YouTube channels kind of gets into some time. Okay, now I'm curious to see. I know there's no strain on it. I'm just going to turn it all the way up to 5. That is so quiet. Let's turn that off. Nope. Okay. So my battery is showing a slight discharge because it was at 15 volts. Well, when it comes unplugged, it shows 0. It was at 15 volts. Well, there we are. We're at 15.1. That's the battery. I was on my output side. It was putting out 15 volts. Okay, so I'm going to go into my presets and set that to make sure it won't let more than 12 volts come on the output side, so that if I ever do hook anything into it, it's not overexerting itself. Now, I'm talking to you, and the motor, the Minn Kota motor, is on 5 and running. That's what I was trying to see if there was any discharge. Okay, people, what am I seeing here? The voltage is going up. Holy cow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the running lights. Running lights are on. Those are regular bulbs. Those are not LEDs. The motor is still engaged in 5 and running. Alright, I'll play with it later. It's dark. Sun's gone. Wherever you're at, good night. Thanks for viewing.